I was sitting alone in my late sister's study, staring at her framed photos, when my phone buzzed with a message from my lawyer. "Martin, call me now. It's urgent." I dialed immediately. He didn't even say hello. "Listen carefully," he said. "Your daughter, Olivia, just filed a petition with the probate court. She's trying to block your claim to your sister's estate." My blood ran cold. What? Why would Olivia do that? Martin sighed. "She believes the $185 million should go to her, not you. But there's something she doesn't know." I swallowed hard. "What?" "You," he said, "are the sole heir, not her, not anyone else." I felt the room spin. My own daughter, fighting me over a will she wasn't even part of. But Martin wasn't done. "Robert, you need to prepare yourself. Your daughter didn't act alone. Someone influenced her. Someone who stands to gain everything if she wins. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments, where are you watching this video from? And if you believe family and money never mix well, like this video and subscribe, because what my daughter tried next nearly cost me everything." The moment Martin's voice faded, I felt myself collapse into my sister's old leather chair. It still smelled like her, lavender and old books, a smell that made my chest tighten with grief. My sister Margaret had died only 3 weeks ago. We were close, the kind of siblings who talked daily, who shared secrets from childhood, who protected each other long after adulthood began. And her estate, her massive, unimaginable fortune, was the last thing on my mind while I grieved. But clearly, it wasn't the last thing on my daughter's mind. I rubbed my temples. "Martin, explain. Why would Olivia file anything? She isn't listed in the will." "I know," he said, "but she's trying to argue that you're unfit to inherit." "Unfit? On what grounds?" Martin exhaled. "She's claiming emotional instability after your sister's death." I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because the accusation was absurd. "Martin, I'm grieving. Of course I'm emotional. She's twisting that grief into incompetence. She filed a petition saying you're mentally unsteady and easily manipulated." I clenched my jaw. "That's ridiculous." "It is," Martin agreed, "but the court will still hear it." Silence hung between us. Then Martin cleared his throat. "Robert, there's something else." I stiffened. "What now?" "She's being advised by someone." I felt heat rise behind my eyes. Who? Martin hesitated. "Her husband." I cursed, under my breath. "Derek. My son-in-law. A man who smiled too perfect, spoke too smooth, and always watched me with the eyes of someone calculating numbers behind your back. The type who saw relationships as investments." I whispered. "So Derek is behind this?" "Yes," Martin said. "And while Olivia may genuinely believe she's acting for the right reasons, Derek knows exactly what he's doing." I stood up, pacing the study floor. "He wants the money." "He wants control," Martin corrected. "And he knows he can't get it if the inheritance goes directly to you." I rubbed my face with both hands. "Martin, tell me straight. Is there any chance she could win?" Martin took a deep breath. "If the court believed her? Possibly. But we're going to make sure they don't." I stopped pacing. "Tell me what to do." Martin said, "You need to come to my office tomorrow. We'll file a counter-petition and present the will." "Martin, I've read the will. Margaret left everything to me, but no explanation why." "There is an explanation," he said carefully. "You just haven't seen it yet." My heart skipped. "What do you mean?" "There's a sealed addendum," Martin said. "Margaret wrote it 2 months before she died." I froze. "She didn't tell me about any addendum." "She didn't tell anyone," Martin said. "She signed it privately. Only the executor and I knew." My throat tightened. "What does it say?" "That," Martin said, "is something we should read together tomorrow. But Robert, I need you to prepare yourself. Because whatever she wrote, it changed everything." His tone made my stomach twist. "Martin, why didn't you show me earlier?" "Because," he said, "Margaret left explicit instructions that the addendum should only be revealed. If someone contested the will, and someone had. My daughter, Olivia, the little girl I used to push on the swings, the teenager whose college bills I paid in full, the woman I walked down the aisle, the one now trying to legally declare me unstable. I whispered, Martin, do you think Margaret knew something like this would happen? He sighed. Robert, I think your sister knew exactly who would try to betray you. A cold throb spread through my chest. I sat back down in the old leather chair. So this addendum, it explains everything. Yes. And it explains why she didn't leave anything to Olivia? Yes, Martin said. And why she left everything to you, and only you. A shiver went through me. What did she know, Martin? We'll go through it tomorrow, he repeated. But trust me, once you read it, you'll understand. Just as Martin hung up, my phone buzzed again. Olivia. I stared at the screen. I almost didn't answer. Almost. But I did. Dad, she said softly. Her voice sounded fragile, too fragile. I forced myself to breathe. Yes, Olivia? There was a long pause. Then she said, I know you talked to Martin. I did. She exhaled shakily. Dad, please don't fight this. I'm only doing what's best. Best for who? Me? Her? Or Derek? I kept my voice steady. Olivia, why did you file the petition without talking to me first? Silence. Then, because I knew you'd try to talk me out of it. I felt a cold heaviness settle in my stomach. And because Derek told you this was the right thing to do. Another long pause. Yes. There it was. The truth. I closed my eyes. Olivia, I said quietly, you're making a mistake. She inhaled sharply. No, Dad, you are, and I'm trying to fix it. I didn't raise my voice, but I said the words calmly, firmly. I'll see you in court. She gasped softly. Dad. I hung up, and for the first time, I finally understood why Margaret left me everything. When I woke up the next morning, I felt a knot in my stomach, the kind that tells you your life is about to change forever. The sun hadn't even fully risen yet, but I couldn't stay in bed. I kept seeing Olivia's face, the uncertainty in her voice, the hesitation before she admitted Derek was the one telling her what to do. My daughter had turned against me, and she didn't even realize she was being controlled, like a puppet. I made coffee, but it tasted like nothing. My hands shook as I grabbed my keys and drove to Martin's office. Every red light seemed longer than usual. Every quiet second inside the car felt suffocating. When I finally arrived, Martin was already waiting for me with a file in his hands. Robert, he said quietly, sit down. It's time. He handed me the sealed envelope Margaret left behind, the one she signed 2 months before her death. My sister's handwriting stared back at me, elegant and familiar. My heart thudded. Are you ready? Martin asked. I nodded, even though I wasn't. He broke the seal gently, slid the papers out, and placed them in front of me. As I read the first paragraph, my hands started trembling. Margaret had written, If you are reading this, then someone has challenged my will. Robert, this means what I feared has finally happened. My breath caught. Martin looked at me. Keep reading. I continued. Robert, I didn't leave anything to Olivia, not because I don't love her, but because I know she cannot protect what I built. I felt my chest tighten. She is easily influenced, and she married a man who is not what he seems. My throat closed. Martin whispered, She knew about Derek. I kept reading. Derek Carter has contacted me 4 times privately over the past year, attempting to negotiate future access to my estate. He claimed Olivia needed to be taken care of. But his true intention was clear. He wanted control. A cold shiver ran through me. I remembered the times Derek had offered to help manage my own accounts. The times he'd casually asked what Margaret was leaving behind. The times he mentioned planning ahead. Margaret continued, I did my own investigation. Derek is drowning in debt. He owes over $300,000 to 2 private lenders, and more to a business partner he cheated. I looked up sharply. 300,000? I whispered. Martin nodded. He's much worse off than we thought. I went back to the pages. Robert, I trust you more than anyone. We have known pain, loss, and rebuilding together. You are the only one I know who will not let this fortune fall into the wrong hands. My eyes burned. Margaret had always been protective, always observant, always 3 steps ahead. Then came the line that changed everything. I also know what you have kept hidden from Olivia. I know why you never told her the truth about her mother's accident. I froze. Martin exhaled slowly. I didn't tell Olivia, I whispered. I couldn't. Margaret understood, he said. She's not accusing you. Keep reading. My hands shook as I turned the page. Robert, the night your wife died, she was being followed. I know you discovered this, and I know you kept it quiet to protect Olivia from fear she didn't need as a child. I swallowed hard. But Derek found the old case files. He twisted the incomplete versions. And he convinced Olivia you were hiding something darker. I pressed my palm to my forehead. This is exactly what he did, I muttered. Martin nodded. Margaret saw right through him. The addendum continued. Robert, if Olivia ever tries to block you, remember this. She is acting out of confusion, not malice. My chest tightened even more. But Derek, he is acting out of greed. He will destroy her financially and emotionally if he gets access to any part of this inheritance. I sat back, unable to breathe for a moment. Martin placed a gentle hand on the table. Robert, she wasn't protecting money. She was protecting you. I blinked hard, fighting emotion. There was still one more paragraph. The final words my sister ever wrote to me. If Olivia turns against you, do not blame her. Blame the man who whispers in her ear. Help her see the truth. And protect her the way you always protected me. When I finished, I wiped my eyes with the back of my hand. Martin gave me a moment. She trusted you, he said softly. And I feel like I'm losing her, I whispered. No, he said firmly. You're not losing her. She's lost in a lie. And we're going to help her find her way out. I took a deep breath. What's the plan? Martin pulled out another folder. First, we'll present the addendum to the court. It proves Margaret's intent. It crushes Olivia's petition. And second? I asked. Second, he said, we expose Derek's financial motives. Once the court sees he manipulated her, everything collapses. I clenched my fists. And Olivia? Martin gave a small, sympathetic sigh. She'll realize the truth eventually, but it will hurt. I nodded slowly. It's better she hurts now than lose everything later. Just as we were about to leave, my phone buzzed. A message from Olivia. Dad, I want to meet before the hearing. Derek says you're hiding something huge. Please don't lie to me. Martin raised an eyebrow. Well, she's starting to doubt him already. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed back. Tell me where. I'll come alone. I put the phone down and looked at Martin. It's time I stopped letting Derek speak for her. Martin nodded. Then let's go give her the truth. I met Olivia at a small cafe near the courthouse, one she chose, not me. She was already there when I arrived, sitting by the window with her arms crossed tightly, eyes red, fingers drumming nervously on the table. She looked up when I walked in. For a moment, I thought she might stand and hug me the way she used to. But instead she stayed frozen, guarded, unsure. I approached slowly. Hi, sweetheart. Dad, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I sat across from her. She didn't look at me at first. She stared at her coffee like it held the answer to everything. I read Margaret's will again, she finally said. It doesn't make sense. I let out a slow breath. It makes perfect sense, Liv. You just saw it through someone else's eyes. Her jaw tightened. Derek isn't lying to me. I leaned forward gently. Is that what he told you? She blinked. He said you would try to turn me against him. I couldn't help a small, painful smile. And what do you think I'm trying to do right now? She hesitated. I don't know. Olivia, I said softly, when did you start doubting me? Was it before Derek showed you those files, or after? Her lips pressed together. After. So, I said, he planted the doubt. She didn't respond. I continued, carefully choosing each word, because pushing too hard would break her. I raised you with honesty. I've never lied to you about anything that mattered. But Derek, he chose what to show you. He hid things. He gave you incomplete reports. She finally looked up, eyes sharp. Are you saying the reports were fake? Not fake, I said slowly, just incomplete. And twisted. Olivia's fingers tightened around her cup. He said you benefited when Mom died, that you inherited everything, that maybe you weren't telling the truth about what happened that night. I felt my chest twist painfully. Liv, that broke my heart. But tell me this. I leaned forward. Did he show you the full report? She swallowed. No, he showed me what Richard gave him. Exactly, I said gently. Richard didn't show him the final corrected toxicology test. He didn't show him the investigator's conclusions. He didn't show him the threats your mother received. Her eyes widened. Threats? I nodded slowly. Your mother was being followed. She had documents exposing corruption. She didn't tell you because you were a child. Olivia's lips parted. No, Derek never mentioned anything like that. Because he didn't know, I said. Because Richard didn't tell him. Because the truth didn't serve their goals. She leaned back in her chair, stunned. Dad, I don't understand. Why would Mom hide something that big? Because she was trying to protect you. Olivia's breathing quickened. And why didn't you tell me? Because you were 8 years old, I said, voice trembling. Because I didn't want you growing up afraid. And because Margaret told me not to. She said you deserved your childhood. Silence settled between us. Her eyes glistened. All this time, I thought you were the one lying. I never lied to you, sweetheart, not once. I protected you from pain you didn't need. She wiped a tear quickly, almost angry at herself. If all of that is true, then why didn't Margaret leave anything to me? Why didn't she trust me? I reached into my jacket and took out the addendum. She did trust you. She trusted the real you. She didn't trust the people around you. Olivia stared at the envelope. What do you mean? I slid it across the table. Read it. She hesitated, then opened it slowly. Her eyes scanned the pages, her expression shifting from confusion to shock to heartbreak. She whispered. She wrote that Derek approached her for money. Yes. She wrote that he's in debt. Yes. She wrote that she was protecting me by leaving everything to you. Yes. Her voice broke completely. She wrote that I'm easily influenced. She wrote that Derek would ruin my life. I wanted to reach out and hold her, but I let her absorb it. Olivia pressed the pages to her chest, tears slipping down her cheeks. I had no idea, she whispered. Dad, I had no idea. I know, I said softly. And that's why I'm not angry at you. She looked up at me, stunned. You're not? Liv, you were manipulated. You were scared. You trusted the wrong person. But you're still my daughter. You'll always be my daughter. She covered her mouth to stop herself from crying loudly. I leaned forward. Olivia, sweetheart, I'm not fighting you. I'm fighting the lie you were sold. She wiped her face, taking shaky breaths. Dad, I'm so sorry. And I forgive you, I said instantly, because I know the truth now, and now you do too. A sudden shadow appeared over our table. Derek. He stood there with a forced smile, jaw ticking. There you are, he said, eyes cutting into Olivia. Why didn't you answer my texts? Olivia stiffened. I didn't want you here. Derek's smile vanished. What's that supposed to mean? She placed the addendum on the table, her hand shaking. I read it, she said. Everything. Margaret knew what you were doing. She knew everything. Derek's jaw clenched. That old woman was paranoid. She hated me from day one. No, Olivia whispered. She saw you for what you are. He reached for her arm. Liv, let's not do this in public. I stood. Don't touch her. He glared at me. You're trying to break up my marriage. No, I said calmly. Your greed is doing that. Olivia pushed his hand away. Derek, did you meet Richard behind my back? He froze. I talked to him, yes. Did you hide the corrected reports from me? He didn't answer. Did you push me to file those petitions because you wanted control of the inheritance? He stayed silent. Owen, she tried again, voice breaking. Did you ever care about me, or just the money? His silence said everything. Olivia stood, tears streaming. We're done. Liv. She stepped back from him as if he was a stranger. Get out. He looked at me with hatred, not because he cared about Olivia, but because the money he saw slipping through his fingers was gone forever. He stormed out of the cafe. Olivia collapsed into her chair, sobbing. I moved beside her and held her shaking hand. Dad, she whispered, I almost destroyed everything because I trusted him. No, I said softly, you almost destroyed nothing. Because I will always fight for you, even when you can't see the truth. She leaned into me, trembling. I want to fix this. And you will, I said, together. For a few minutes, Olivia didn't move. She just sat there hunched over, her shoulders shaking, her hands covering her face. All the lies she had believed were crashing down on her at once. Every fear, every doubt, every manipulation Derek fed her like poison. I gently rubbed her back. Liv, this isn't your fault. She shook her head. I should have seen it. I should have known. You loved him, I said softly. You trusted him. Loving someone isn't a crime. She wiped her face and tried to breathe slowly, steadying herself. What do we do now? She whispered. We go to court, I said. We present the truth, and we expose Derek and Richard for what they did. Olivia nodded, her jaw tight, determination slowly replacing panic. But before she could say another word, the cafe door swung open again, hard, and Derek came storming back in. This time, he wasn't trying to play calm. His face was red, fury burning in his eyes. He marched straight toward us. You think you can just throw me away? He hissed at Olivia. After everything I've done for you? Olivia stood, her voice trembling but strong. Everything you've done for yourself. Derek slammed his hand on the table, making the cups rattle. You ungrateful. I stepped between them before he could finish. Watch your mouth, I said quietly. Right now, right here. He glared at me with a hatred so sharp it felt like a blade. You're destroying my life, he spat. No, I answered calmly. You did that yourself. He turned back to Olivia. You can't win this without me. You need me. You wouldn't survive a day on your own. Olivia's lips parted. Derek, stop. No, he snapped. You think he cares about you? You think he's the hero here? He's manipulating you now the way he manipulated your aunt. I felt a flare of anger, but I kept my voice steady. Margaret saw you for exactly who you were. That's why she kept you far away from her estate. Derek shot me a venomous glare. That old woman hated me. No, Olivia said quietly. She just recognized danger. Derek laughed bitterly. And you think you're safe now? You think he'll leave everything to you? He hasn't changed that will yet. Olivia's face tightened. I don't want the will, Derek. I just want the truth. He stared at her, shocked that she'd say it out loud. She continued. For months, you pushed me to think about money, to think about inheritance, to think about what we'd build if Dad didn't have control. But I never knew you were drowning in debt. And you never told me the truth. Derek's face twisted. I didn't need to tell you. You wouldn't have understood. Olivia's voice cracked. I would have helped you. I loved you. And what good is love, Derek growled, if it doesn't pay my bills? Olivia froze. That was the moment she truly saw him, stripped of charm, stripped of lies, stripped of the mask he'd worn for years. Yeah, she whispered. I don't even know who you are. Derek leaned back just slightly, realizing too late what he'd revealed. You're done, I said softly. This is over. He looked at me with a smirk. You think so? You think you've won? You're forgetting something, old man. I crossed my arms. What's that? He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Richard didn't just give me those old reports. He gave me something else. Olivia stiffened. What are you talking about? She asked. Derek smirked. A document, signed by Margaret. I felt a jolt of ice in my chest. What document? Oh, you'll see, he said, at the hearing. Olivia looked panicked. Derek, what did you do? He grinned. Let's just say, Margaret wasn't as perfect as everyone thought. I shook my head. You're lying. Oh, am I? He sneered. Then come to court and prove me wrong. He turned and walked out of the cafe, leaving Olivia trembling. She sat down, gripping the edge of the table. Dad, what is he talking about? What document? I shook my head, trying to steady my own pulse. I don't know, Liv. But whatever he thinks he has, it didn't matter to Margaret. She didn't leave it with her will. Olivia looked terrified. What if he forges something? Martin will catch it, I said. Derek isn't smart enough to pull off something like that. But inside, a part of me tightened with unease. Richard Cole was smart enough. And dangerous enough. We left the cafe and drove straight to Martin's office. He listened to everything, Derek's appearance, the threats, the mysterious document. Martin tapped his pen against the table slowly. He's bluffing, he said. He has nothing legally binding, but he may have something that can sow doubt. Olivia whispered, Dad, I don't want to go through this. I just want it to end. I put my hand over hers. And it will. But first we need to show the court how deep Derek's manipulation goes. Martin nodded. With the addendum and the financial records, we're on solid ground. The judge won't buy anything Derek brings unless it's authenticated, and I doubt Richard has anything authentic left. Olivia swallowed. What if he forged Margaret's signature? Martin's jaw tightened. Then he's going to prison. We prepared everything for the hearing the next morning. Every document, every report, every line of Margaret's addendum. That night, I barely slept. But Olivia slept in the guest room of my house, the first time in years she'd stayed with me. I checked on her once, quietly. She was curled up, exhausted but peaceful. In that moment, I realized something Margaret had known all along. Olivia didn't need $185 million. She needed protection. She needed truth. She needed her father. The next morning, we stepped into the courthouse together. A hush settled over the hallway when people saw us, Olivia on my left, Martin on my right. That was when Derek appeared at the end of the corridor, holding a folder. He looked confident. Too confident. He smiled when he saw us. A cold, victorious smile. You're too late, he said. I already submitted the document. Let's see how the judge likes this one. My stomach tightened. Martin's eyes narrowed. Olivia grabbed my arm. Dad, what did he submit? I took a slow breath. We'll find out in a moment. But deep down, I already knew. Whatever was inside that folder, it wasn't meant to reveal the truth. It was meant to tear us apart again. And Derek believed it was going to work. When we stepped into the courtroom, the air felt heavier than usual, like it carried every fear, every secret, and every lie that had been building for months. Olivia's grip on my arm tightened as we walked toward our table. Martin was calm, collected, focused, but I could see a faint tension in his shoulders. Even he didn't know what Derek had just submitted. Across the room, Derek sat with a smug, almost victorious smile. Richard sat beside him, looking too comfortable for a man who had spent years bending the rules of the legal world. Derek lifted the folder slightly and tapped it twice, as if daring us to ask what was inside. But Olivia leaned toward me and whispered, Dad, no matter what it is, I'm with you. I nodded, even though part of me was still terrified. The judge entered, and everyone stood. When we sat again, the clerk began reading the docket. Finally, the judge looked at Derek. Mr. Carter, I understand you submitted evidence late last night. You were warned about last-minute filings. Derek stood, buttoning his jacket like he belonged in a boardroom instead of a courtroom he was about to be crushed in. Yes, Your Honor, he said smoothly. It is critical. And it proves that Margaret Hayes intended for the estate to go to her niece, Olivia Carter. Olivia flinched. I stayed still. The judge adjusted his glasses. Your document claims to override the original will and the addendum? Derek nodded confidently. Yes, Your Honor. It is a signed letter from Margaret, dated 3 weeks before she passed away. Martin leaned over to me and whispered, Impossible. She was in hospice then. She couldn't write anything. Derek handed the document to the bailiff, who brought it to the judge. The judge studied it carefully. For a moment, the courtroom held its breath. Then he frowned. This signature looks unusual. Derek's jaw twitched. With respect, Your Honor, Margaret often signed documents quickly. Martin stood. Your Honor, permission to approach? The judge nodded. Martin stepped forward and examined the paper. He didn't touch it, he only leaned in close enough to see what he needed. He returned to our table with the ghost of a smile. It's over, he whispered to me. Derek didn't notice. He was too busy smiling like the money was already his. The judge cleared his throat. Mr. Carter, did you personally witness Margaret Hayes sign this document? Derek's smile stiffened. No, but Richard Cole did. Richard stood immediately. Yes, Your Honor. I was present. The judge tilted his head. Mr. Cole, according to Margaret Hayes's medical records, she was on morphine, hydromorphone, and anti-nausea medication during the date listed on this letter. Richard's face drained of color. The judge continued. These medications impair motor function, meaning she would not have been able to write a straight line, much less sign her full name. The entire courtroom went silent. Derek's smile collapsed. The judge tapped the document with his pen. And the page number in the corner, the same printer line pattern, the same faint ink streak? This was printed on a machine used exclusively in Cole and Grant law offices. Martin didn't move. He didn't need to. He'd already won. The judge set the paper down. This document is a forgery. Olivia gasped softly. Derek took a step forward. Your Honor. Sit down, the judge snapped. Derek froze. Richard swallowed hard, sweat beading on his forehead. The judge continued, voice stern. Submitting forged documents to probate court is a criminal offense. Mr. Carter, Mr. Cole, you will remain in this courtroom until law enforcement arrives. Derek's face twisted in panic. Olivia, tell him I did this for us. She stood slowly, trembling, but strong. You didn't do this for me, she said. You did this for money, and you almost ruined my relationship with my father. Derek reached toward her, desperate. Liv, please. No, she said firmly. Don't touch me. Officers entered the room as if on cue. They approached Derek first. Sir, stand up. Derek backed away. No, wait, this is a mistake. Richard, say something. But Richard was already being handcuffed. Derek saw it and panicked even more. This is ridiculous, he yelled. You can't arrest me for a document. The officer grabbed his arm. Forgery, fraud, attempted estate manipulation. You'll have plenty of time to explain in booking. Olivia turned away as Derek was taken out of the courtroom, shouting. Richard followed, silent, defeated. Only when both men were gone did the room feel like it could breathe again. The judge looked at Olivia. Young lady, your aunt left everything to your father for a reason. She trusted him to protect you, even from your own choices. Olivia nodded, wiping her eyes. I understand, Your Honor. The judge looked at me next. And Mr. Hayes, you have proven yourself a steady and honest guardian of your family's legacy. The estate remains entirely yours. I exhaled slowly, like I'd been holding my breath for months. The judge dismissed the case. Martin shook my hand firmly. It's done. It's finally done. Olivia turned to me. Her voice cracked. Dad, I'm so sorry. I wrapped my arms around her, pulling her into a tight embrace. You came back to me, I whispered. That's all that matters. She cried into my shoulder, and for the first time since Margaret's passing, I felt like the world was settling back onto its feet. When we stepped outside the courthouse, the cold air hit our faces. Olivia took a long breath, wiping her tears. I don't care about the money, she said softly. I just want things to be right between us. I smiled. They already are. She slipped her hand into mine, the way she used to when she was a little girl. Dad, what happens now? Now? I said. Now we go home, we rebuild, we heal. And the estate? I squeezed her hand gently. We'll decide together what to do with it. Margaret wanted it to protect you, not divide us. Olivia nodded. I want to honor her. I want to do something good with it. And in that moment, I knew Margaret was right. My daughter wasn't greedy. She was lost, manipulated, afraid. But she was home now, and we were whole again. That night, Olivia stayed for dinner at my house. She laughed again, a real laugh, not the forced one I'd heard for years. We talked about Margaret, about memories, about everything we almost lost. And as I watched my daughter smile across the table, I realized something Margaret probably knew long before I did. Family is more valuable than any amount of money. And sometimes, you have to fight like hell to protect it.